Welcome back to Exotic Car Play Place, everybody. Thanks for joining in, and I hope you saw the vlog earlier this week. That's why today's video is produced on behalf of the OBD tuners. Now, I'm going to discuss this today because, as you can see, I've got this great little 2009 X5 35D Diesel, and I want to show you how you at home, you guys, can personally troubleshoot some of these problems and give you the power to question the dealers or possibly make that repair yourself. So I'm going to explain a few of the things, what OBD is, and how you can get started. Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Mark with Exotic Car Play Place, and today, in short, OBD it's a communication protocol. It's a standardization, if you will, of onboard diagnostic codes that help you troubleshoot problem areas with your car. When your car decides to fail, it sort of stops working properly. Its optimization isn't totally there, and therefore the system tells you something, that either a sensor is wrong, or there's a loop that's not working properly, or some faulty device is in place. Something's not working as 100% specified. So the dealers, the manufacturers found it necessary to standardize, so it made it easier for services and service industries to be able to troubleshoot and maintain sort of that common language, if you will, between different car brands. And from year to year, it allowed you to make sure that you had the same consistent discussions of problem areas. Now, OBD2, there was several different variations of communication protocols over the years, and back in 1996, OBD2 was finally basically settled on as the agreed upon protocol that just seemed to work the best, had most of the bases covered. Now, unfortunately, a lot of these complicated vehicles like the BMWs, like behind me here, have unfortunately a lot of extra complexities in there that even OBD does not necessarily recognize. So even to use a standardized OBD tuner or code reader, you will find yourself not necessarily having all of the information, but it's a great start. I'll get started here. Now, here is the X5 Diesel. The other day, this thing spit out a code, and I walked you through it really quickly, how to actually get into this. I showed you quickly my tuner or my code reader, but unfortunately I know I kind of glazed over it very quickly. So I will share with you guys OBD2 and how you access this on any vehicle from 1996 and newer. So first of all, we look at the cockpit of a car. Most vehicles are pretty much the same, and this is obviously BMW, almost all standardized exactly. So you're not going to find these plug-in ports all over in different places. That's fairly standardized too, and it's typically under the dashboard. And in the BMW world, it's definitely always under the footwell of the driver, and even more specifically, it's under this area right here. So if you go down under here, you'll notice this is right next to the handle. Of course, this is your hood release, but look straight above it, and you have this little plug. Well, BMW, of course, they like to keep it clean and tidy. So what we do is we pull this plug out, and now you have access to the actual plug-in, the port itself right there. That's the port. That's the OBD2 port. Now again, let's back this up. Backing this up, that of course is, there's your footwell, there's your hood release, and there's the cork for your OBD port. So I'm going to show you what I use. So there's three major ways to tie into that OBD2 port. It's very easy for the do-it-yourselfer out there like you guys to access that OBD2 port. Now there's three ways, one of which is more or less your portable scan tool like this. You can get these pretty cheap nowadays, pretty generic. This is the one I use. It's called a CAN OBD2. If you look up close, CAN OBD2. And I use this because it's simple and it's cheap, and so far it hasn't really led me to astray. Now remember, like I said, this is pretty generic, so it won't give you everything in terms of the BMW faults. And I would say, in this case, it did not give me everything I needed. What it did do, though, however, was it gave me a code, a number that I was able to reference online, traced it, and told me exactly what the issue was. Now this, of course, is one way. Another way, now they have these new systems that you're able to tie in with your cell phone. It's called mobile connection, and of course they have systems, and I'm actually going to probably purchase one because I like its flexibility, and that is the Carly, for example, is one example. That's one brand that a lot of you guys have probably heard about in the BMW world, Carly, C-A-R-L-Y, and that is a great little way to interface with your cell phone or your iPad or your other mobile device, anything that's Android or iOS. You can connect up to that Carly. You just have to order the right adapter and you're good to go. Now you can Bluetooth that in. The beauty with the Carly equipment is that you're able to dial in, you can pull codes, you can reset codes, but you can also recode some of the electronics in your system. So in other words, you can have some fun with that too. You can actually change, different locking sequences. You can change your fold-in mirrors. You can do a bunch of different things. Your light flashing and the headlights. You can do all kinds of creative little code adjustments in your system. So you can, like I said, you can have some fun with it, but you can also use it for reading issues, diagnostic concerns. And of course, the third being PC connected. Now, typically, the professionals are going to likely use something that's more of a PC-based unit, and it'll have a lot more powerful features to it, a lot more troubleshooting capabilities as well. So that's another option, usually out of the hands for the do-it-yourselfer. By the time you invest in a lot of that equipment, you might as well just take it to the dealer and be done with it. So let's go in, and what I'm going to do, I'll show you quickly how this works. So I've got my reader, which I already showed you, and it's connected. This is typically turned off, but it comes on automatically. So you want to connect it up to a vehicle that's offline. So what I'm going to do now is take my reader. I'll take my reader connector here, and I'm going to connect it up underneath. So I'm going to connect this up. Now it's connected in there. So now that it's connected, I'm going to put the foot on the brake. I'm going to start the car. And what we're going to do is we're going to wait for this thing to see what it comes up with. Now it's just a waiting game. So initially it says unable, but it'll do a recycle, and a lot of these are pretty straightforward. You plug and play. They're really simple devices to use. See, now it does a reset. It's going to try again. I haven't touched anything yet. See, and there it is. P209F. And that is, see this case, P209F. Now that is a real bummer of a code on this car. Because by looking up on Google, you type in P209F, and it tells me that there's a fault within the heater, the DEF heater circuit. There's a discrepancy, there's an issue, and I'll show you that code here. But unfortunately, with these X5s or these 35Ds, this is not an uncommon failure mode, and it becomes a very, very expensive fix. But enough about that. Let's look at this. In some cases, you're able to do a full reset. Now, unfortunately, my code reader doesn't always work. Sometimes it will reset this car, sometimes it won't. It always resets my M5, and it resets some of my other vehicles. It will not always reset my X5, so we'll give it a try. Press it once, press it again. It's trying to do a restart. So it didn't work. For some reason, it didn't allow me for a restart on this device. So again, in the hands of a good do-it-yourselfer, a tool like this is invaluable. You spend $100, maybe $50 on a device like this. This one here only cost me about, I think, about $80, $70 Canadian. You can get these as cheap as about $30 Canadian now. They're almost throwaway. They're very, very cheap. But even if you had to spend $150, maybe even $200 for a really good scan tool, one trip to the dealer quickly just throws that cost away, and you're able to save a lot of money by yourself. Now, the thing is, you may not necessarily want to repair every fault yourself. You may not want. That may not be up to you. However, it gives you the option. And not only does it give you the option, but at least it allows you to walk into the dealer knowing full well that there is a possibility that they will not throw you under the bus and they will not gouge you. After all, they're not called stealerships for nothing. And unfortunately, my next vlog, we're going to be talking about this. So you want to stick around till next week. You're going to find out what came about this whole situation with this X5 and this fault code. You're going to want to check it out. So make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications bell. You're going to find out a lot more about my little ongoing saga with this X5 Diesel. Thanks again, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like, subscribe, share it with your friends. And again, as I said, please subscribe to the channel. Hope to see you real soon. Catch you then, guys. Bye-bye.